Okay, guys, it is the top of the hour, so I'll get to it. I am Nancy Mura. I am president of Survival Strategies, who are the sponsors of all things resource for private practice owners and their staff. And I'm also the founder of Pizza-Palooza, if you're pediatric, and I'm also the founder of the Private Practice Networking Conferences. We have such an exciting hour for you today. All right, why am I so excited? Because, as you know, I co-host this with Paul Silovsky, who's just amazing. He is one of our, I hate to say, I never know how to say oldest clients, but I don't mean old like he's putting his teeth in anytime soon, to say hi to us. But he's our, I guess, most longevityist, I don't know how you say that, client of Survivals. And he has an adult PT practice in Topeka, Kansas, 2 locations. He's been doing this for quite some time. He's seen every challenge that you can throw at this industry. He has seen it all. He's seen the conglomerates buying up the mom and pops. He's seen the reimbursement crushes. He's seen the managed, you guys know what I'm talking about, the managed, I don't know, when Medicare steps in and it's like, you got to go through us, and it's all a whole mishigas, and everybody gets really upset. Mishigas is a Yiddish word. I'm not Jewish, but my dad thought we were, don't ask, fluent in Yiddish and Hebrew. So mishigas is a Yiddish word that means like craziness, like all the entanglement of craziness. So that's my word contribution, because I love words. That's my word contribution, mishigas. So anyway, he has seen it all. He's lived through it all, and he's succeeded through it all. And Paul has a really interesting business model that I love to put out in the forefront, because right now it is extraordinarily zeitgeisty to have these practice buyers, conglomerates, hospitals, people that buy up mom and pops. And I have nothing really against that if that's your thing. But Paul has a different model, and I want to talk to you about that for a second. I have nothing, if you guys want to sell your practice, that's your business, that's America, that's great. But here's what I am against. They try to come to my events, they try to come to my webinars, they try to network with you guys, and you know who they're going after? The vulnerable. Who are the vulnerable? The people that want to throw in the towel, the people that are like, COVID I was already struggling, and the 4th wave of COVID just took me down. And they know that you are at the brink, and they know that if they come along with a reasonably decent offer, that you will literally throw in the towel. And I get phone calls from owners going, I'm either going to throw in the towel or I'm going to do something big, but they don't know what the something big is. I will tell you what the something big is. The something big is called, you get the know-how. And so, yes, I am here to represent Survival Strategies, because I can't promote junk. And not saying that other people out there are junk. I just know what Survival does. I just watch them take a practice from limping and struggling. And that could be limping and struggling because they got too big too fast, and they now have 50 staff, and the owners are drowning in like, oh my gosh, we can't manage this humongous ball of wax. There can be that. There can also be throwing in the towel because you just don't have the know-how, and just you're trying to compete and you don't know how to compete with salaries. And if you don't get more staff and more PTs and more OTs and more speech paths, you are going to go under. So anybody who's thinking about throwing in the towel, you are really doing yourself a giant disservice, because you are not going to get 2.5, 3 million, 1.5 million for your one location. So you're going to get offered, like, they're going to do you a favor by getting you out, taking over your past due bills, and basically alleviating you of the struggles. And I'm telling you guys, if that is not your purpose was to be a private practice owner. So Paul here is one of those guys that got the know-how, and boy, he sure knows how. And his business model, so here's the business model of you in my world. You get big enough, and you've been in it long enough, and now it's your turn to either turn over a legacy or sell and have a really nice retirement. You got to have systems in. You've got to have systems. You cannot go on these webinars, guys, and as good as they are and as good as other people's webinars are, you cannot nugget your way to success. Nobody that is on here that is crushing it, nuggeted, that's a lie. 0.5% can just take everything they learn and apply it. The average owner cannot do that. And so you need actual systems. And when big companies go to buy your company, they are looking for your systems. They will deem anything else that you have, meaning no systems, as a hot mess. So Paul has a different approach. And I like Paul's because Paul's is a little bit more aligned with what I would say is the preservation of private practice. So Paul grew his practice, grew leaders, vested them into the company. So when Paul makes money, they make money. When Paul doesn't make money, they don't make money. And all that money translates to how many patients did they help this month, year, whatever. So Wendy is one of Paul's, and he says she's a baby. Wendy Stanley, how many years are you with Paul now? Like 18 now, 17?
16.
16. Okay, 16. So almost 2 decades. So a decade and a half. And I know retention is a big, that is a hot topic right now, is retention. And I've come across several. We just had a hiring expert at our last event. And that hiring expert was giving all these tips and tricks on how to recruit. And that's all great. The recruitment is one part, and it is a hard part, and it's really crazy right now. But the retention is the boom, it is the punchline. And if you don't have that ability to retain your people, and what does that look like? That looks like organization and management skills up the wazoo. And that's what Paul has. And so Wendy is his patient care coordinator. Wendy, what other titles do you have? I think you've got a different way of slaying the dragon there. What do you?
Chaos coordinator. No.
Chaos coordinator. I love it.
VP of PR and marketing.
VP of PR and marketing, just like Carrie Lee. Carrie Lee here is the senior VP of PR. She's my right-hand gal at Survival. So you can always contact any of us about anything. So let me get to a little bit of homework, or not homework. What's the word? Housekeeping. Yeah, that's the word they use on webinars. Let me get to a little bit of housekeeping. Guys, we have the most amazing goal-setting, strategize to maximize. This will be our 3rd time. We bring it every year. This time we're doing it earlier. We're doing it January 27th. Carrie Lee's going to put the link up. Tickets are going on sale like today with a crazy early bird. You guys know our webinars are not dirt cheap. We think there's a lot of value in them, so we put value on them. We want you to invest in yourselves and your staff. This one I am doing at a blowout price because I want you to come to everything this year. That is what will give you a big chunk of know-how. Okay, so we have strategize to maximize. What is it? It is not goal setting like I need to hire 2 PTs. I want to paint my waiting room. I want to move into a bigger building. It is none of that. It is every number that you need to track for the entire year. And you're going to be where you are now. We give you a 3-page spreadsheet, and you're going to fill out where you are now and where you want to go. And if you talk to the people that did it last year and the year before, just because they got out of the dark about those numbers and then they put down what their numbers should be, guess what? A large percentage of them exceeded that number. This is an all-day webinar with Diane Crecelius, PT, CEO of it's now IV Rehab for Kids, but it was formerly ABC Pediatric Therapy. She does 3,000 visits a week. She does 178 new referrals a week. She walks the walk when it comes to applying we call the application, the discipline of application. So we're going to release that today. It is $199 a person. It's all day, January 27th. I'm doing a very short early bird this time because Mama's got to sell this and get on to the next thing. So we want to pack it. There's room for about, I don't know, we'll see where the cutoff is, between 60 and 100. Otherwise, Diane gets crazy with questions. So there is limited seating. And when you take those numbers, and if you're staff here, you got to go back and tell your owner, hey, I found out about this thing called Strategize to Maximize. people that came. Emily Watkins has a really lovely quote on how she wrote her numbers down and then bam, she got those numbers and then some. And if you apply that with the other stuff that we teach and present over the year, you should be in really good shape. But this is a really good start off, and $199 per person all day. It's like 8 hours straight of every number. Now, Paul, you track those numbers, and Wendy, you track those numbers. This is based off of the stuff that Survival Strategies teaches you in their big programs. And it uses a proprietary software. One is for adults, one is for pediatric. Paul, you've been tracking those numbers. Can you just speak on that, like the importance of like knowing your metrics, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I mean, I couldn't imagine not knowing. I guess would be I can't imagine how anyone could manage. I actually am working with another owner or attempting to help another owner right now. And it's probably one of the bigger barriers is to get her really owning the fact that, and you really can't plan effectively unless you know where you're at. I'll extend this. I mean, I know where my practice is at in the areas of finance, production and new business. I can know it by the hour if I need to. I'll tell you that Wendy looks at new business flows probably no less than hourly and has for years and years and years. I look at I look at our finances and our production and our new business flows daily, but I'm looking at multiple clinics and multiple factors inside of that. I just can't imagine not operating without it. I mean, we're going to have a 4-hour meeting this afternoon with all of our execs, and we're wrapping up both the kind of the year end and last month, but it'll be driven off of the metrics mainly, the conversation. I mean, I don't listen. I don't mind listening to people. We're going to talk all about communication today and how important it is. But there's one thing I don't listen to. If there's one thing I look at and don't listen to, it's statistics. Because what I mean by that is because they don't lie to me. So, and people will lie to you. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
Very good. Excellent. Yes, I was going to bring that up because we had Wendy last year around the same time. And Wendy said, and we're going to have her speak on this. So just make a little note, Wendy, you got to tell us about this. Wendy will literally go in and check her stats on referrals, right? On referrals coming in. And let's say they look like they're going to be down. They're not headed in the direction that she wants. Wendy will go and go talk to every PT at Rebound Physical Therapy and go into serious action. So when we're going to introduce you in a second here, Wendy, when at some point, just speak to that a little bit. And I want to preface this with this. Some of you guys saw Wendy last year. She did a holiday similar talk because it's important and you could use this throughout the year. So it does not have to be holiday. Your PCCs should be out there doing this year round. But I will tell you this. Some people saw how many visits Wendy does a week to visit doctors and what she considers an actual visit. She'll speak on this again. You'll be, people literally wrote me after she presented and they said, I don't believe she does that. I'm like, okay, that is what real true production and organization look like. And you'll be pretty astounded. And it's definitely interesting. And as I say to people, it's difficult to be an A to B person in an A to Z world. The world kind of likes to put a lot of time in and how long things will take and how long it takes to break through. That's a consideration. Just if that's your nugget for today, please pop that and let it grow and plant in your brain. Time is a consideration, and how much time you put into something is a consideration. And humans tend to add a lot of time. Like, how long would it take you to get that report? Oh, I need till next week. And I can tell you in Paul's office, they'll probably be like, I can get that to you in an hour, sir. And they move along with their day. So we're going to hear from Wendy. Wendy Stanley, again, 16 years with Rebound Physical Therapy. She is absolutely delicious and delightful. And I turn it over to you, Miss Wendy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I feel the same about you, Nancy, Miss Nancy. Yes, I've been with Rebound for 16 years in the same position, but it's changed. So kind of updating and taking on some different hats and just really expanding. So I don't know where you want me to kind of
Well,
start.
let's start with like what you do for, I know you go out there all the time, but let's talk about like how you take advantage of holidays in particular to really, I'm sure your referral sources are pretty well communicated with at all year, but particularly at this time of year. So let's talk a little bit about that, but maybe give them a little insight into your post, like what your stats are, what you do, what you're responsible for, so that they have some mass and understanding on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. They can apply it or add it if they haven't been doing this, etc.
Sure. So my main stat, I have several that equal it, but new business in the door. And then everything that entails that. So adds up to that, but also everything that surrounds that. So, total PT referrals, we break that down into MD referred, so doc referred, and then direct access. And we're really trying to hone in more on access. Well, really in the last 6 months. And then we track our health and performance referrals, and that all goes into our Inc. total referrals. Starts into the door. So basically that would be any start that is started, PT, so eval, as well as like health and performance evaluation. Total promo, and we break that down by the different areas. So PT, massage, smart exercise, sports performance, but the total overall promotions. And then referrals, source visits, and then front desk visits, which that is all me, the front desk visits right now. And then we also track reaches in. So specifically for our health and performance area. So a reach in could be someone, well, it's just that reaching in. So calling or stopping by to inquire about one of our classes, maybe a camp for their group of kids. So a reach in, someone who has inquired, reached in. That's the main ones. I don't think I forgot anything.
Right. So if you heard in there, you see that Paul and Wendy and Rebound in general go after a lot of, they're not just straight, they got massage, they've got the gym, like they just go out. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And that is one of the keys to beating what I think, I don't know, Paul, weigh in on this. Does that not help with this reimbursement game? And you're bringing in some cash people, et cetera. Because that seems to be this little diversification, not little, but this diversification area seems to be very helpful for PT practices. Would you weigh in on that?
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, obviously the clinic looks like what I had developed over the years in my own practice. I mean, it looks like how I practiced because I was a PT, specifically a sports related PT. So we had sports performance, developed. And then we developed a wellness model, meaning, mainly personal training and massage. And I was not a massage therapist, but, we added these things so that we could extend the lifetime value of what we were doing. In other words, the value of a start in physical therapy has, for us, it's very well codified or defined. There's, we recalculate. I mean, we know we can recalculate however often we want to, but every quarter we update that number towards what is the average collectible value of a patient, but the same thing on the wellness side of things. So as that's why Wendy, first thing she said was a number of people that start an activity. So they could start in physical therapy 1 month and then 3 months later be a start, continue to be on the massage line or become a wellness client and pay us cash after they've discharged. So we're looking to create a long-term relationship with more and more people. And it just takes boatloads of communication. Here's what's cool about it. It doesn't enforce communication. it invites so many different things that we can communicate with people about now because of the diversity of our services. We have other cash services. We do laser and we have specialties within within the realm of rehab with women's health, aquatics. We just have so much to communicate about and so much content to create. It makes it easier, actually. It is easier to run a bigger practice than it is a smaller practice, by the way, because and this function of communication is so vital. And I'll tell you, for the holidays, it's really cool. It's cool in that you have the holidays to talk about, but we customize our campaigns and our messaging during the holidays. I mean, we look forward to it. We used to kind of dread it. It's like, oh, you kind of this thing, these distractions that occur. We become part of the distraction. We participate in the distraction now. I love David Breyer, this branding expert. The name of his website's Rising Above the Noise, and I'm not promoting his website. I'm just telling you that you are there to rise above the noise of what's going on in everybody's environment in their head. And what we have to talk about and communicate about is super important. So, so I'm more than speaking to what you asked about, but it has to be part of the mindset, because we have to out communicate the distractions in the environment, and that's, to me, it's like it's an opportunity. It's not a challenge. So anyway.
Love it.
And Wendy knows that. Wendy knows that, there's not a lack of people to talk to and a lot of things to talk about. So.
Go ahead, Wendy. Take it back over. Take it back over.
As far as the holidays, Paul definitely, nailed it. I mean, you rise above the distractions. And, December, the holidays, there is a lot of distractions, a lot of people taking off. We use that at Rebound, kind of as our advantage. That's the time that I, nab our PTs and take them out in the offices because they are a lot slower. Paul's went out with me. That's, his time that he just kind of thanks the physicians and the offices for what they've done and being a part of, the medical community. He always sends out a holiday letter with a special message to the referral sources, as well as to our patient database. So that goes out every year. And it's definitely a personalized direct letter from Paul, his signature. And they really like it. We've gotten really good feedback from that. I think the biggest thing is it's not just dropping off cookie trays or things like that. You really put the intention in it. During COVID, I helped my office gals decorate Christmas trees. I helped them hang Christmas lights. Just everything. We've had different decorating classes. I just put more, I always say, when you don't feel like you're doing your job, like a job, then you're doing it right, because I don't feel like I'm ever like, oh, I gotta go deliver this. I gotta, it's like, oh, I get to go over and chat with Lisa today. Wonder what Lisa's up to. But really taking the, putting the ARC into it. Like, your full attention is, hey, I'm just here for them. It has nothing to do with return.
Let me just, so we don't go past a word they don't understand. So ARC stands for Affinity, Reality, and Communication. It's part of the administrative technology that we teach at Survival Strategies, and it's a triangle, and ARC equals understanding. So if you raise one of those, so if you raise communication, affinity goes up. If you raise reality, they all go up and they equal understanding. So that is what Wendy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, but there's some new people that will not know what that means at all. They'll be like, ARC? What's an ARC? So ARC, for those of you that are not Survival Strategies clients, is affinity, reality, and communication. It's a triangle and it equals understanding. Okay, go ahead. Sorry to jump on you like that, but just didn't want to make sure that.
No, that's okay. Thank you. So we've done videos. So videos from Paul, our main therapist, So like a holiday message from either just themselves or the whole group. One of my favorites, we always because we have a annual Christmas party for the staff. And so I make sure they're all dressed in certain attire. And then we snap a picture and all the offices get a Christmas card from us, which I see them hanging in the office. And it's fun because they're like, okay, so now who is Christina? Point to her, which one? And so I'm able to like, I just think the biggest thing is the whole intention. So what is your intention? And just make it big. So go above, you know, all the distractions and yeah. And we do, I mean, I'm not going to say that we don't do gifts because we absolutely do that. But it is personalized. So, you know, like this was something we did one year, but each individual will get one. This
What was on there? Is there a gift on there? I missed it.
Yeah, it's a little thing that you put on the back of your phone and then it cleans.
Oh, right. Okay.
Last year, we didn't do Christmas. We did New Year. So it says, Happy New Year. Looking forward to ringing in the new year with you. And it's a cell phone holder. So one that, and I'll usually survey like, what would be a cool gift? What, you know, office wise, what, oh, phone holder, or I'll just observe like their phone's always just laying down. And so that was fun. We have done, this was a long time ago, but I did keep this. And
What
it's
is that?
Santa, it's Santa Tizer.
Oh.
So we just done, that's just a couple that we had extras left over. So we do absolutely do gifts, something little fun, but it's always something personal, you know, nothing generic. And you don't have to do gifts. You know, I think just like the holiday message that you can include in your newsletter or a postcard or, you know, a video that you're posting on Facebook or your website and emailed out from the owner or, you know, one of your key PTs would even be good. We've done Christmas caroling before. So I think, you know, it's always good for, I think, the community to see the group involved together.
Right. I love that. Yeah, this is definitely a going above and the intention and the creativity on it. I mean, if you guys are in this position, I was in this post and I ran an adult PT practice and did the patient care coordinating. And I had learned a lot from Wendy because I worked for Survival, left Survival, ran this practice, made the owner go through the referral development program because I was like, whoa, you guys are like dying on the vine here. And so Wendy spoke at a lot of our conventions. And so I always had the Wendy kind of mentality, which just aligns with, she's the perfect fit for this. So when you're hiring, if you're an owner and you're hiring for these positions, guys, you really have to hire with the right personality. You need a Wendy, you need a Nancy, you need that extroverted, creative, sort of like thinks outside the box. And you have to have a real lover of people. If you interview for this post and they're like, well, I don't really love people that much. Well, you shouldn't really be hiring anybody that doesn't love people, like in physical therapy and pediatric speech and OT and PT. But I mean, for this post, you really need an extrovert. You need somebody that loves going out there, that can handle rejection. It's sometimes it's a daunting post until you get in the groove. But now, Paul, quick question for you. It was funny. We have a question here and I had the same question. I'm like, ooh, you piqued my interest. What sorts of messages do you put in there each year that they are wowed by it? Like what types of things do you include in that letter? That CEO letter?
You know, this is really interesting because I don't even think Wendy's figured me out yet completely, but she just knows that I'll come up with something that's very personal. And what I mean by that is like she'll cue me and she says, okay, well, it's time to we'll craft up whether it's going to be for example, one year we did something using the concept of affinity, right? We called it actually an affinity letter. And the whole purpose of the letter was just to build affinity with the public. And that one we mailed directly to a lot of people, Okay. And I mean, it was a large number. And
2,200.
What?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
2,200.
That doesn't seem like that many anymore, but anyway, we because the referral source letter is to a group of referral sources that that Wendy picks out to the raw public. I guess my point is this: is we have I don't make it generic like a holiday, just a holiday wish, although it's a holiday quote unquote letter. The message inside of it will be something very personal from me that I either feel about, what the public we service, or what our practice means to the community, or what they mean to the community. Usually it's directly aimed at the end user, at the individual. And I really make a strong attempt to make sure that we are humanizing, I call it humanizing our brand, right? Making sure that we're bringing that personal touch, human element into the holidays or the message. I write a series of things, little publications that we push out. We've done it both in writing and we do it mostly digitally now. It's called PT Matters. It's an article that I write. And I wrote one just a couple of weeks ago around Thanksgiving, I think. And I'll probably use something related to that. So that I'm not being general, I'll give you an actual example of a sort of a message. So like this year, and I just cleared this up with Wendy because we went back and forth on this week. Okay, I'm going to get the letter done because there'll be two different letters, one to the public and one to the referral sources. And I really want to care for people as a PT. Like, I'm not a practicing PT. I haven't treated patients for over 10 years, but I still know what that means. I still know how that feels and what it means. And I still know what I want it resonated to our public. So I wrote something to Wendy around, and these aren't the exact words, but we want to care for people at the level to where we bring out the very best in them so that they can then provide their very best to whoever's important to them in their life. And that's what we're doing. We want to bring out the best in you so you can share the very best in you with the rest of whoever, in your life. So that's just an example, Nancy, because that's going to be the message.
That's great. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's the concept. And it's not some holiday quote or something you saw online, or it's not in a card or anything. It just comes from whatever you want to send, because you really do have to differentiate that gift. Like those gifts that she makes, those folks, when they're created, they're just unique enough that's like, oh yeah, this is Rebound. Rebound does this, because it's not canned. It's something to differentiate what we're doing. It's not a plate of cookies or fudge or whatever. Like, we don't do that. We gift something that's unique. Yeah, sometimes it's got the logo on it, but it doesn't have to. I mean, sometimes the logo is not even a part of it. Might just be some little part of the tag that goes with it, but it's not a part of the piece. So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Yeah.
Well, that's great. It's totally that care factor. And see, and that's the thing that could be a very good takeaway for the guys and gals watching, is that when you are in the chaos, it is very hard to put all of your real developmental energies into developing that care factor. And that care factor is, there's such a difference in it. I just worked with a company, nothing to do with anything work related, just they gave me the care that I feel we give our client. And I find that rare. Like, I'll be honest with you, I find it rare when you get a care factor. And when Paul says, was it rise above the noise? That's so funny. I say rise above the din. Like, to me, there's this whole cacophony of sound and distraction. And someone that I follow for marketing advice says, and I just thought this was such a brilliant concept, because you think you can get caught up that you're competing with the clinic across the street or down the road, and you're not. I mean, you are, but some people like there is no competition. But when you're trying to get a message out and you're competing for attention, you're not just competing with the clinic across the street. You're competing with who just got elected in Georgia. You're competing with what's going on in the Ukraine. You're competing with the gas prices. You're competing with anything that's out. You're competing now with Elon Musk and Twitter, because that's all over the place everywhere. And it's just, they've got big factories that are getting messages out and getting content out. And then you're this little practice like, oh, I'll send out this email today, or I'll send out this, I'll put this post on Insta today. And it's just not enough. And one of the biggest tenets I took away is assume they see nothing. Because if you ever get like, oh my gosh, but we just emailed them 2 days ago. Assume they see nothing. Assume, I just posted this the other day. You know what? Sometimes I'll say, guys, we can't go at them so much with this maximize to strategize to maximize like the whole page. And then you go look and you look for the post and it's way at the bottom, way at the bottom. Who saw it? Who knows? So you have to assume they see nothing, and you have to rise above, he says, the noise. And also Paul is also coming from differentiate or die, which is another one of his principles. And so that differentiation of Rebound physical therapy, boy, in my mind, I'm already like, I want to go there. And I don't live in Topeka, Kansas, and I don't have any PT issues right now, but I want to go there. So I think that really is just having the time and the organization to be able to put that stuff in. So Wendy, and I love that Santa. I just give me a good pun any day of the week, and the ex-comedian in me is happy. So the Santa time, so that cracks me up. Okay, so Wendy, let's talk about the amount of visits you do, so we can have people go, what? That's not even possible. I want to reiterate this because for some reason there is a little thing going out there that's for business, it's as bad as the virus. It's as bad as the word we won't use, the Rona. And that word is production. For some reason, production is such a dirty word. And I actually saw somebody post on one of my pages, one of our groups, and they said, I've got a great OT that wants to go work for a great place where they don't push production. And I was like, you know what I hear? Well, I'm going to tell you how I translate that ad or that post. I translate to, we want to work for somebody that does not want to help the community all that much. That's what I hear, because production in this profession just equals patients served, caregivers alleviated, communities served, caregivers and patients rehabbed, and kiddos reaching milestones. This is an imperative profession. And so when you've got this squelching on production, I had a gal tell me on the phone the other day, oh, we're producing at about 65%. We're happy with that. Well, we're not really. You're not really, because it's not viable to be at 65. That means you almost need 2 people to do, for every 2 people, you've got like 1.3 like production. Like that's just not going to work. We live in an economically driven society. When you want to live indoors, you have to pay rent or a mortgage. When you want to go get in your car that you had to buy, because you didn't barter for that car. You didn't say, well, I'll give you 4 cows for that car. You did not do that. You had to. And so then we get in this thing that I'm hearing out there. It's really dangerous, guys. It's super pernicious. It's super, super injurious to have this like production is a bad word. And if your staff think production is a bad word, or if you're on here and your staff and you think production is a dirty word, by the way, we're not talking create a mill. We're not talking about let's get the kiddos in, get them through, get the grandpa with the frozen shoulder, get him in, get him out. We're not talking about that. We're not supplanting care for production. But guys, you got to get those production numbers up, and you got to eradicate for 2023, make that your goal, is to eradicate this idea that production is a bad idea. Anybody who wants to go against that flow, I'm telling you, is injurious to your practice. And you might hate me and be like, that's the last webinar we ever go on. I am here to tell you that you're here to help the whole reason. This isn't like, who cares if you, you know, put vitamins in a jar all day? Like, someone's going to do that. A machine can do that. This care that you guys offer, no machine's ever going to come in and do that. So Wendy, now that I've braced you for what Wendy does, Wendy, tell people like what your weekly post and visits look like.
Well, probably 80 to 85% of what I do is outside of my office. So it's out in the offices. And I average probably this year between 55 to 60 visits a week out in the offices. And then in the office, I have a staff member that does community stuff, and then one that does emails and promotional pieces. So I kind of oversee all that, but they're really good at what they do. So that doesn't take a lot of time. Just basically oversee anything that leaves these doors with our logo on it, comes through this office first, just to kind of make sure the look, the feel, it's the right colors, logo, everything like that.
But let's back that up. 55 to 60 office visits. And then if I listened and duplicated effectively, if Wendy goes in and just changes out the candy bowl or gives them a pen and they're too busy, the front desk is too busy, and she observes they're too busy to have a communication interaction with her, she doesn't count that as a visit. Is that correct?
No, that's correct. So I count the visits, my front desk visit, so that's outside of like a referral source visit. So a front desk visit is just, I have to get in direct communication and with that individual to count it. And, you know, several of our offices, there might be 4 front desk people. Of course, that's just one front desk, but I have to get in direct communication with that individual. So it's not just drop and go. Drop and goes don't count.
So even though you get in your car and you bring something over and you park and you walk and you deal with whatever weather and you got your makeup on and your hair did, and you get in there and you change out the pens that say Rebound Physical Therapy and you're like, I'll talk to you later, you're busy. That does not count as one of the 55 to 60.
No, because it's not the product of, you know, what I'm going for. So I have to directly see that I'm getting that product. So
that's just, I mean, I told you guys, I was a patient care coordinator. I did not do 55 visits, and I did grow the practice substantially, but it goes to show you that there's just, first of all, if you break this whole thing down, she mentions product. She goes out there to get a product. A lot of times I've been at positions, or I created a position for myself, or in running my own companies, I didn't really have like what the product was. I was just kind of in there, kind of like doing, like, I'm going to go do this, you know, I'm going to, you know, you guys, some of you guys know I've had a lot of careers. I've been everything but a plastic surgeon and a pilot. And I'm like, oh, there's still time. You never know. But I can't leave my people. So that's not going to happen. But when I had these other posts, even if they were self-designed posts, like I was a stand-up comic, right? I didn't have a product. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna make some people laugh. And I, you know, granted, you know, you want people to laugh at your jokes, but I didn't have a product. Like, I get hired back for the whole year. They book me out I didn't have a product. I just went out there willy-nilly. And there is so much willy-nilly that when you are an entrepreneur and you don't, and you're all these amazing clinicians that own practices, but nobody gave you the know-how. There's so little of it. And you can't really beat up your university because they're there to make you a licensed therapist. They're not there to make you a CEO. That's on you. So you have to go to CEO school. And then if you're running a practice and you've got Wendy's underneath you, you have to make sure they know their product. That is half of the chaos of the business world, is that people don't know their product. And one of the things that we do immediately when you come on board with Survival Strategies, if you do the management program, is we really teach you this organizing board. and each person is on there in each division, and they have a fully written hat, which segue February 24th and 25th is the hat writing and bonuses and insurance negotiation 2-day virtual webinar that we're going to do with Diane. The bonusing, you guys want to do that because, Paul, you're going to speak on bonusing in a second. You guys are to compete in this culture right now of people out of school want like $1 million to start. You've got to incentivize them. And that is also how you're going to have an easier time with the whole concept of production, is by people knowing what their product is. We actually call it a valuable final product. People have to know that, and they have to know what is expected of them. Otherwise you go in there, and I've had jobs where I just like sort of push paper clips around and I'll file this. I mean, I'm not a very good like office worker, as you can imagine, but when I did pretend that I could do that, I would like not really know what I was supposed to do. So I like push paper clips around and I'll file that and I'll look up these clients and whatever. And I'm sure you have staff that are doing that because it's not defined well enough. So to bonus, you have to have the prereq of the hat writing. And that hat writing workshop is really intense. And this is backed by popular demand. That is February 24th and 25th. We're not going to start selling that, but you should mark your calendars with a save the date. But Paul, I wanted you to speak on something, and now I lost my train of thought because
you said something about bonusing. But
oh yeah, talk about how you bonus your people, and Wendy, you can jump in there and speak on that too. How does that affect positions and production and incentivizing? And as a person on board, Wendy, how does that affect you? You know what I mean? Like, what are the perks and what drives you to like reach that bonus, and how do you get there? And maybe you could both speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll say this just from a broader perspective, and Wendy can speak to what it means from her hat and even her juniors, how she uses it. But without the product defined and without a expectation set, it's really hard to move the dial forward. I know for me, it's really just, it's not just to create a game, but I think that's really what it ends up being. It ends up being, let's play this game, and we tie it to a product and the measurement of a product through the statistic, and then put a tangible dollar value to it, and get the various areas of the company going for it, because I think they respond more to the game than they do the number. Honestly, I mean, the number has to be something that's real, and you mentioned it, Nancy. I mean, there's got to be a certain quantity of work done and a quality of that work. Obviously, Wendy's very quality minded, and even counting what those visits are. I mean, she doesn't get paid for the number of front desk visits. She gets paid for how many people start services in the company. But certainly the referrals are a sub product to that. I mean, there's it's still the prime thing we look at is how many people reached in to the company, but how many people started and what's the value of the starts. So Wendy now works, she's tuned in even more closely now to what is the value of a start. Like, not only do they start, but working with the clinical director to make sure we're bringing in people that, are good people. They're good prospects. They're good patients, and they, hopefully complete she's not responsible for whether they complete their plan of care or not, but she's very interested in whether they do or they don't, because it helps pay her and her staff. So she can speak more to what it means to her, but I think that we wouldn't be able to move the dial forward without it. I mean, it doesn't always have to be money, by the way, either. Sometimes I know when Wendy hits highest ever, I know I have to come up with something to reward her that's not financial. Honestly, there's been like that. I painted that wall, the original wall, not the office she's in now, but I remember one time she hit us highest ever, and I redid her office. I personally put the chalk, whatever, someone else, that's a different chalkboard now behind her there, but that was one of them. And then most recently she was out in Nashville. I told her when she hit her highest ever last time, I said, I'm going to take care of you. I just let the girls take care of it. And it was some kind of freaking, I can't even describe what it was, but she loved it. It was dermabrasion or whatever I scraped your skin with,
Tell all my secrets, Paul.
Oh, don't, she just wakes up looking like that, dang it.
I know she liked it. She's like, yeah, that's nice.
That is nice. I also believe, if I recall correctly from a convention we did in the Mayan Riviera, whatever the heck it's called, somewhere in Cancun, that Wendy likes herself a designer purse every now and then. She does like that. Now that is financial. That does come out of your purse, but it's really great. And and there's a great chapter in the book that we use is The Keys to Private Practice Success. And you can get that at survivalstrategies.com/shop. There's a great, and we're updating it. We're updating it right now. First, we're doing the only pediatric private practice book out there. That'll be out any second. It is geared to adult PTs. So instead of saying like a kiddo comes in with a sensory processing disorder, it's going to say grandpa comes in with a frozen shoulder. But you guys, the data in there is it doesn't stale date. It's good no matter what. But there's a great chapter on hiring and how to hire from the right mindset, which is actually duty. And you guys are out there putting these ads in to compete with people like, we give 401ks, we give more PTO than anybody. And it's all very personally directed. Like the person that's reading that is like, oh, what's in this for me? And you're going to you're casting a really wide net for like, what's in it for me kind of people. Whereas when you learn how to write ads and recruit from a sense of duty, boy, oh boy, do you get a different prospect. You get a different person to work for you. And then there's a great chapter on bonusing, and it does not have to be money. And Paul is right. People go into a games kind of mindset and look at, gosh, if you have a dog and you leave it alone all day, it can go into the deepest depression, but leave it with some of those puzzle toys and the Kong with the peanut butter, they're happy. Sentient beings love a game. I'm not comparing anybody to a dog being left at home all day. Don't go there, people. But I'm just saying that anything sentient loves a game. And so your staff and your clients are no different. So with cancels and no-shows, I know people that are playing like crazy games to get through the holidays without having dips and drops in that. Wendy, do you affect that? Well, we're going to have you talk about what it's like on the bonus end for you and with your staff. But when we're done with that, if you can speak on, do you affect at all? Do you have any influence on the cancels and the no-shows, or is that a different? You're not related to the front desk?
No.
That's not your. Okay, got it. Okay, talk to us about bonuses for you and your team under you.
So. Buffy has a bonus plan that's set that I know what it is. We track it. I am so lucky to have a gamer. I have 2 big gamers on my team, which is just really good. We also are front desk. So I will personally play games with her as well as our front desk staff. So when it comes to we're getting towards the end of the month and I'm like, oh girl, this is the number we got to hit. And, I'll throw at her, whether it's a gift card, and I do it with the front desk staff, get me, 25 referrals today on the books and scheduled, and you've got a Starbucks gift card, or I've done $50 bills before. And those girls are like, game on. I'm texting them in the day, like, where we at? How's it going? And so I think that gamer attitude is definitely what you want on your staff. Our PTs, we do that a lot. We're so fortunate that Paul is a huge gamer himself. And so he'll do games for all the staff. So whether it's cancellation, no show, if you're within this amount, then we're going to put your name into a hat and there's a drawing. Highest ever, the whole staff gets lunch, and, just really not so much money, but we're acknowledging our staff. Hey, freaking great job. Look how many people we have helped, how many people are in the door. we do it for Google reviews. So right now we have a game going that, you know, the PT that gets the most Google reviews, and actually that's being announced on Friday, wins. So just fun, you know, just always keeping the game alive, you know.
Alive. That is crucial, keeping the game alive. And how do you, can you tell right away when someone is, I love this, a gamer? Because I always think about some kid in his mom's basement gaming, but I love this gamer mentality. Can you tell right away when you're interviewing people, and can you tell right away, like, do you ask questions that would lead you to find out if they're on board with games?
I mean, Paul would be able to do that best. He definitely did it with me. But I think more like when I have interviewed marketing people, you know, tell me about a time you were up against the challenge. How did you handle it? And you can just like see their eyes lit up. Well, I did this, and that, you know, just the excitement that when you talk about when you were up against the challenge, or what, you know, has been a challenge that you have overcome. How did you handle it? Just, you know, more, you can just see them like, okay, this is what I did. So
fantastic. That's really great. Paul, any other words of wisdom? We're getting, we got 2 minutes. 2 minutes to sign off time, everybody. Anything you want to add, Paul?
No, I think it's pretty, I mean, I'm happy to answer. I mean, they can type in a quick chat question if they wanted more specific examples or any clarification. Happy to do that. One of the things about this size of group, it's hard to get two-way communication going, and I really would love to, you know, be able to do that. I know Wendy would do the same, but
well, and
make sure we handle anything that they would have a question on too.
And then Carrie, why don't you put up Paul's email address? You can email Paul directly. It's Paul at, is it Paul? What's your?
Yeah, Paul at reboundphysicaltherapy.com. Yep.
Paul at reboundphysicaltherapy.com. Guys, on the Lemonade, in the Lemonade library, there's more on Wendy, and it's last year's holiday something with Wendy Stanley. And so, but it's really not, I really shouldn't have named it that. I just, you know, was being, you know, hey, it's the holidays, let's do that. It fits any time of year where she talks about the same kinds of things, how many visits she does and the types of things she does. And someday when we have her back, she'll tell you her story, how she did not let COVID shutting down the entire practice stop her, and how she actually used it to mend. She didn't mean to do this. It's just a byproduct of that kind of intention, but she actually mended fences with referral sources that were at each other's throat and couldn't stand each other. And she put them together, and peace was made. So it's just really tremendous what is possible. And like I say to you guys all the time, if you need the know-how, look, Survival Strategies handles people that are thriving and they just want to be better, or they have one area where they're in pain. We handle people that are going bankrupt tomorrow. But I'm telling you, the number one thing I see is just people lacking the know-how. You're sitting there and you're like, this is all great, but you can't get your day-to-day operations underway. You just need basic foundation. So come on board, check us out. I love talking to you. Talking is always free, because why? I love to talk. So if you can't tell, so I put my text in there, Carrie Lee, maybe you could put my number again to text me. We'll get you with the right person. I had a lady just call me up the other day asking me about how to value a practice. Like, call me with anything. We just love, our care is in being the resource people for you. We want to bring you any resource that we know about, that we think we can lead you in the right direction on. And I go down pretty deep rabbit holes vetting people. So people call me about EMRs, people call me about billing companies, they call me about hiring companies. And if I think someone's really good, they get the vetted by Palooza vetted, as we call it over at Pizza Palooza. But it could be private practice, PPN vetted too. So please reach out to me if you have any questions, any considerations. I really, really, truly hope that you make 2023 the year, not to be a Nelly negative, but I talked to some real heavy hitters, Paul being one of them, other owners that have been in the game for a while. And I'm telling you, this is not to be fear monger. The next 18 to 24 months are going to be kind of difficult for people to survive. that are not incredibly stable. I don't want to go into the whys and all this stuff, but there's some stuff coming down the pike. If you don't have the know-how, if you're struggling now and you don't have the stability now, oof, it's going to be tough. So please reach out. Like I said, always free to chat. And I love doing that. Strategize to maximize, January 27th, $199. That's our early bird. And we always want to thank Paul Silovsky for co-hosting the Juice Nutrition for Your Practice, and our special guest today, Wendy Stanley. We love you, Miss Wendy, and I'm like sitting there going, like, still going 55 to 60 visits. I don't even know how you, and then you're at the office and then you come here on a webinar. So I'm like, I don't know how, and you look so good. I don't know how you do it, but
the filter.
Well, let me sign up for, no, we know, I've seen you live and in person. Wendy is beautiful inside and out. Okay, guys, it's after 10 our time PST. I don't want to keep you any longer. We love you. Come join us for the next juice is, Carrie Lee, do we have a date? January 4th? No. January 4th is the next juice. And, the biggest compliment you can give us is to tell people about us. So join the Private Practice Network if you're an adult, join Pizza-Palooza if you are pediatric, and we are going to start helping other professions. We are going to really start helping home health and hospice. Those are the two professions we're going to now make available to our services. So if you have anyone in those industries, please let them know, get them to me, and we'll get them into the right group. So thank you, guys. And as always, we love you. We appreciate your time. Wendy, thank you so much. Paul, pleasure always. And to my fabulous right-hand gal, Carrie Lee, and to all of you beautiful people, go make it a great day and do what you do best. Go serve those communities.